Hello, welcome back to the Your Everyday Strength podcast. My name is Josh Sternberg, and if you are just joining us here for the very first time, thank you very much for being here. If, however, you are returning, you already know the fucking drill. Thanks for being here also, and thank you for coming back. Now, today's episode, there's no real specific topic. There is nothing in particular that I'm going to be talking about. Today, the title of this topic is the fucking episode is there you go. That's my productivity timer for ya. Mans has been getting the work in. Better turn that bad boy off. So today's topic, title, etc. is called Life is Ever Evolving. It is episode 23. And I honestly just thought I would take an episode to more or less catch everyone up. I got a seed stuck in my tooth. That's good. If you see that on the video, I'm just going to ignore that. Pause for just 1 second. Oh, you can't pause it anymore. You're kidding. Wild times. Anyways, thank you very much for that, Riverside. Not exactly sure why you did that. Anyways, moving on. So today's topic is more or less a catch-up on life. It's been a hot minute since I have just spoken without having a topic or something to discuss or whatever. The last sort of quote unquote episode that could be remotely similar to this would have been the APL Nationals one, which got a pretty good feedback from people, different crowd of people listening to that one than had previously listened to the potty before. So that was really cool. Hopefully some of you have hung around. If not, you're not going to hear this anyway, so it doesn't really fucking matter, does it? So I just thought I'd give it a moment to sort of catch up with everything that I have been up to. I have a tendency to sort of downplay things I'm doing. I keep somewhat to myself. I yap a lot and I talk a lot. I'm fairly open about my life. I'm fairly open about everything that's going on. But at the same time, I have kind of found myself not being fully as open as maybe I think I am. And then one of the things that I'll mention in a moment, I've sort of been talking more about it lately and dropped it and everything like that. And I've had people be like, fuck, you've kept really quiet about this, or you've been really, this has been under wraps. This has been this has been that. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, well, it's not like I'm hiding it. It's just a matter of, I just hadn't really mentioned it. I'd mentioned it to some people, but it wasn't something that I was necessarily going around and fully mentioning. So yeah, let's fucking rip in. What's been going on in my life? There's been plenty over the last few months. There's going to be a fuckload of things going on over the next 6 months, which is very exciting times ahead. Now, I guess, firstly, I finished footy for the year, which was cool. We made the finals for the first time in somewhere between 6 to 8 years or something like that. We'd won more games this year than the team had won in the last 4 or 5 years combined. Some stupid stat like that, something crazy. So all in all, we actually had a really fucking good season. We went down in the first finals, which, the team that beat us ended up going on to win the whole thing. So yeah, not really too bummed out about that. The fact we even got in there, and for the most part within that game, we're actually somewhat competitive. And then it kind of just blew out towards the end with a few calls not necessarily going our way. But as anyone knows, that is football. That is life. That is everything like that, really. It doesn't always go your way, but all that matters is you showed up, you put in as much effort as you could, and whatever happens really at the end of the day. Life happens as it's meant to. Now, what else is there? Fucking next up, we've got training. So basically following on from footy, now I'm able to get back into a little bit more of a training routine. Unfortunately, from the time with which I actually finished football, The following week, went down to Melbourne for APL Nationals. Then I came back and I had essentially been sick for like 3 weeks from that point. I somehow caught influenza A again for the second time this year. And anyone who's caught influenza A knows it absolutely fucking rocks you. It rocked me again and again. And you start to feel like you're getting a bit better. And then all of a sudden you're just like down a fucking steep slope, trying to get up the river without a paddle, those kind of vibes. So basically just tried to juggle life as best as I could, try to get through just everything as best as I possibly could. Unfortunately, it did mean that training took a bit of a back seat, mainly because I'd start the week off, I'd train the Monday, the Tuesday, and then go downhill. And then I'd let my body rest, and then I'd start to feel really, really good come the Monday, go in and train again, train the Tuesday, and the same fucking thing happened, and my body just fucking crashed. So I was like, well, I'm not going to keep running this cycle. I'm going to go to the point with which I feel like 100% ready to go back into the gym before I do, so that I don't keep prolonging this sickness. Because unfortunately, being sick, working for yourself, being a sole trader, if you're not working, you're not making money. If you're not able to do the things you know you need to do, biz is not going to go the way you want it to go. So yeah, I basically just had to fucking take a bit of a back seat and keep that, try to keep my nutrition on point as best as I could. For those who don't know, I'm working with Connor Walsh. He has been on the podcast before. He was one of the first guests that I had on. So he has been doing my nutrition now for quite a few months. And I've noticed a fucking fairly significant difference in the way in which we've been approaching it. Now, for the most part within footy, we weren't looking to lose or gain weight. We were just looking to maintain, with the focus being on performance. Now that footy is finished, the goal is to cut. I'm already down around like a kilo and a half on average. Body comp is better. So we more or less like recomped a little bit. Again, being sick hasn't necessarily helped that process as much as maybe we would have liked. But since about last week, I've been back on track pretty well. Last week, my main focus was, to just get back and get moving. So the same thing I've mentioned quite a few times on this potty, or just in general within my content, is it's not about being perfect. It's just about being consistent and consistently putting in effort to try and achieve the things that you want. Now, for me, coming back after a fucking fairly extended hiatus from consistency, and even taking into consideration footy, with only being able to do 2 to 3 full body sessions a week kind of thing, couple that with then just a whole range of other shit. Like, it's actually been a really long time since I've trained in the gym specifically 4 times a week. So my goal last week was get back into the gym, get 4 sessions in, tick, done. The intensity and everything like that's going to come over the next few weeks, but the first point of call, point of action was to just get into the gym, get the body moving, build like that habit and routine again around like, what does that look like with my eating, my food, like all of that sort of shit. So I did that, tick those boxes, and then this week my goal was to do my 4 sessions plus add my cardio back in. So cardio and saunas, idealistically. So today's Wednesday when I record this, already hits 2 time sessions, hits steady state twice, and I have done the sauna once. I'll be looking to do more steady state cardio zone 2 this afternoon, and then I will do sauna straight after that as well. First week, I'm just going to be basically doing zone 2 every single day. And then from next week onwards, I'm going to look to add some higher heart rate zones to be working in different different ranges, intensities, etc. Obviously, to be targeting different areas. I also want to get out for at least 1 to 2 runs this week, or 1 run and 1 small sprint session. So we're just going to try and factor that in over the course of this week. And from there, I'm just going to keep ramping. So this week has been more or less about locking in my training sessions, my exercise selection, all of that sort of stuff. I am currently doing my own training protocols. I just get Connor's help with the nutrition side of things. For me, I kind of wanted to experiment a little bit with some of the training-based stuff. I've been very fortunate to learn from some really good coaches, a lot who have had different philosophies, different ideologies. So I'm trying to combine a few different ones and just essentially make it work a little bit better for me with my structure. Now, unfortunately, I don't have all the time in the world to train because, as I'll continue to mention as we go through this, life has been lifing and it's been moving in a really fucking positive direction, but it has meant that my focus has been in other facets of it. Now, one of the biggest facets of life that has been taking up a fair bit of brain space, especially over the last couple of weeks, and this is something that I haven't really mentioned much at all. If you follow me on socials, then you'll definitely have seen it. But launched a supplement company. Ta-da! I don't know, there's, Imagine streamers or some shit coming out of it. So, yeah, launched a supplement company, iqsupplements.net. Now, this is something that has actually been in the works for about 12 months. And so a lot of people didn't really know about it because we hadn't really been talking about it too much. Long story short, one of my old housemates that I lived with a couple of years ago, Mr. Alex Carson, as he's better known within the gym space that we train at, he came to me around end of August, September, around this time last year, roughly 12 months ago, and just said to me, hey, I want to start a supplement company. I don't really know much about like the business side of things or how it's going to work from that end or whatever. Like, are you willing to jump in? And I was like, okay. This was at a time when I was actually looking at like trying to diversify my portfolio a little bit. Obviously I have coaching and I've got the potty. Potty doesn't really generate me any money. But I have coaching, which is my main income source. And then I was like, well, yeah, cool. Supplements is my history. That's what I'm good at. It's what I know quite well. Well-versed in supplements because I've been using them for the better part of fucking 11 years now, if not longer, if you count just protein powder on its own. So for me, it was like pretty much a no-brainer to jump in on this project and really see what we could come up with. Now, it was really fucking cool. Like, it has been a really cool project. And as I mentioned, it's been about 12 months in the works. So our first point of call was to sit down, create a name, create a formula, start to think about what products we're going to want to release, start to think about, how does this look? How are we going to make it work? What are we thinking about doing? How are we thinking about selling? Like, what are all the little steps that we need to take to be able to actually get it from an idea on paper into a practical, a physical product in our hands? And I'm going to go and actually grab one. Boom. Ta-da. So the physical product in our hands. And that came down to actually quite a lot of trial and error. So the first thing that we had to do was create a formula with the help of ChatGPT and just knowledge over the years that I had acquired through working within both the supplement industry and just also kept up to date with SUPs and everything like that. I spit out like the formula that I wanted and what I wanted it to include. And then without having to do hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of research, I used ChatGPT to help me check things like the TGA guidelines, check dosing legislation, check all of these different things because some ingredients are obviously capped at a certain amount per gram, etc. Some you're only allowed to have a certain amount in there. It's just like all these little finite details that I didn't have the time to like dive fucking deep and read all the legislation and all the other shit that comes with it. So we used chat to help us with the formulation process, and we were essentially going back and forward. And I was like, okay, well, this is what I want. This is what I want out of it. This is what we're looking for. These are the ingredients that I do want to include. These are the ingredients I don't want to include. Had to do market research in comparison to other supplements that were on the market for both pricing, formulas, all of it. So just everything that comes with like launching a product. From there, once we got the composition put together, we took it to a few different blending companies around more Southeast Queensland. So the first one we went to was on the Goldie. They're responsible for a majority of the blending for proteins, pre-workout, supplements in general. For most most sup stores. So a lot of people don't know, but the blending company here on the Gold Coast actually blends a majority of the supplements within Australia. I don't know if that's some big kept secret or anything like that. Fucking surprise if not, or if it is. But yeah, so they're responsible for blending the majority of the products. And the first company were like, oh, we're not necessarily able to do that one. There's like a couple of the ingredients in there that we don't have on hand. It's going to cost a fortune to get them in, blah, blah, blah. So we went to a company in Brisbane, and then they were like, yeah, sweet, we can create that. We're fucking happy with that. You know, what do you guys want? What are you thinking for flavors? And to start us off, we just went with 2 different flavors. One was my pick, one was Alex's. The flavor I picked was grape, because grape is one of my favorite flavors. The flavor Alex picked was supposed to be a sour watermelon. After about 5 different trials, we couldn't necessarily replicate the sour aspect that he was chasing. However, anyone who's actually had the watermelon and tried it, we have fucking nailed the flavor because it is so good and it is so refreshing. I've actually never had a pre-workout taste so refreshing when you drink it. Now that comes down to a couple of the things within the formula, from the hydration-based aspect, and just the ingredients that we've listed. We wanted a clean pre-workout that had the best of the best ingredients that money could essentially get, without having all the other like crap and fillers and just random shit in there that you don't need. A few other stipulations that I actually had with it were, I didn't want it to include any of like the English, for anyone who knows supplements, any of the English walnut or anything that is essentially derived of or as fucking related to any of the DMAA, DMHA, etc. Now, the reason was for me is with having ADHD and already utilizing Dexies, I was already having enough of the molecular family of that in a day that every time I would ever have it, I would either get incredibly anxious or I would then absolutely crash after it, and it would fuck me up. It would also then affect my sleep. I didn't want that with this, and I wanted a product that was going to be clean, that was predominantly more aligned with focus and cognition and getting a sick pump. Didn't want it loaded full of fucking caffeine. Didn't want to jam pack it full of all that shit. There's a decent amount of caffeine in there to get you a decent buzz. But the main sort of benefit of this pre-workout stems from the cognition aspect of things, the focus, the mental clarity. It has no crash, which one of the biggest things we're getting at the moment from a feedback perspective is every single person who's taken it, whether they've taken it first thing in the morning, whether they've taken it at the middle of the day, whether they've taken it at night, has all said there is no crash and they're able to sleep, which that is fucking awesome. Like that, to me, the fact that every person I've asked is coming back with the same feedback, and I'm not posting it just yet because I want to get as much unbiased feedback as I can. And people are all coming back to me with the exact same thing. Tastes good, mixes well, refreshing, no crash, great energy, great focus. I'm like, that's fucking mint. That is ticking the boxes of everything that I wanted from it. And yeah, so by the time that we formulated it, got everything approved the flavors, got all that done, then came in, things like insurances, setting it up within my accountants, like using my accountant that I was already with. We've set up a company, so we're both directors of the company. And we've done like everything as best as we can, from a professional standpoint. And I can't take much credit for that side of things. We'll be honest. Alex has set up a majority of the logistics of the starting. So he's been going back and forward with the blending company. He's been the one organizing delivery of the product. He's been the one who's organized the Ozpost accounts and all of that sort of like logistical side of things. My role within the company is going to be more based around sales and marketing. So essentially utilizing the skills that I've gathered through my years within being a sales manager for a supplement company, and also then using my fucking last however many years as being a PT with marketing and social media and the things I've learned off of mentors and just general things that I've picked up along the way, were essentially just created roles for ourselves that are based around our strong suits. So that'll be my role in the company. I'm going to be doing sales, marketing, etc. We actually launched to close friends, family, and clients last week and had a fucking crazy outpour of support. Like, I didn't not think people were going to buy it. I knew, I've had confidence since day one that people were going to buy this product. And I knew that once people started to try it themselves, that they would be fucking hooked. Because as biased as I am, I genuinely believe it is one of the best pre-workouts I've ever used across any. And I have been using pre-workouts, as I said, for nearly 12 years now. So it's been a fucking long time. I've trialed quite a lot of them. I've trialed everything from the strongest pre-workouts you can get legally and illegally. And this has been one of my best, like one of my favorite pre-workouts that I've ever used to date. So we go sale live on the 6th of October. However, if you're listening to this and you're like, fuck, I want to get me a little trial of that bad boy, send me a message. Send me a direct message. I will send you through a code. You will be able to access the website. You will get a discount code. And if you're local to the GC, we are even offering free pickup or local delivery. So you literally could not trial it at a better time or a cheaper price than you will be right now. However, if not, we will be going live the 6th of October. So keep that in mind. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye on my socials, my personal socials. Our business account is on Instagram, IQSups. Our website is iqsups.net. But yeah, if you have any specific questions in relation to the pre-workout itself, or even any part of the process that we've actually gone through, there's probably so many different things that I've actually missed, that like just little things that would pop up that you're like, oh yeah, we have to set that up, or oh yeah, we need that, or even down to getting the labels printed and things we had to have on the label and all of this other little bits and pieces that you just don't really think about. But yeah, that's IQ Sups. That's a fucking very exciting time ahead. From me, from a more personal perspective, professional. Let's go professional first. Business-wise, business is good. Business is going well. As always, with any sort of coaching business, it goes up, it goes down. People come, people go. And it's just one of those things that, like, as a coach, you kind of just accept people will come. They'll stay with you for a while. They might go. I'm very fortunate. I A, have a really high retention rate, and B, have a really high return rate. So when clients do leave, or they do, venture off out into the world on their own, they pretty well find their way home eventually. They come back. We get to work again. So yeah, I'm really stoked with how everyone's working at the moment within like business and everything like that. As always, just continuing to grow, trying to show up a little bit better, trying to show up a little bit more consistently, trying to improve the quality of the content that I'm putting out. I've fucking went out and bought a fancy ass camera, which I'm filming this on right now. Just trying to do all these little things that'll actually allow future proofing of everything that I want to be able to do. Now, a few other things that are going on. We've got a bit of an update on a personal development side of things. As everyone knows, or anyone who knows me knows, I'm a pretty big fucking believer in constantly working on yourself. Now, that can be in the form of professional certifications or professional sort of development, whether you're doing more courses or workshops or seminars, or you're just trying to evolve as a professional. And then also from a personal perspective as well. This year for me has obviously been a pretty massive shift into the personal, getting to know myself better, learning how I am, why I am, going through psychologists, and just really getting to know me. And I feel like I'm in a position where I know myself better than I ever have. I'm in the best position I've ever been in. If we compare right now in my life in comparison to 12 months ago, it's chalk and cheese. It was pretty much around this time last year that my whole entire life flipped on its fucking head. And this year I'm in such a fucking good spot. Work is good. There's exciting ventures occurring with IQ and my own training and my nutrition and all of it. Not to mention that I've recently started working with Mr. Travis Cochran, so the mindset technician. For those of you who have listened to quite a few episodes of mine, you will have heard of Trav. You will have seen him if you follow me on Instagram. Trav was one of my guests. He was probably my fourth guest, I believe, from memory. I'm going to double check that because I should know. He was episode 8. He was episode 8. So he was my fourth guest. And from that conversation, we just kind of kept in contact. Now, anyone who's listened to that episode, if you haven't, go back and listen to it. It's fucking amazing. If you have listened to that episode, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Trav's just such a fucking good dude. And I knew from that episode that long term I wanted to work with him through different just life endeavors and things like that. And for me, it got to a point a couple of weeks back where I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm in a position where I can do so. It's not cheap to hire coaches. And to be brutally honest, Trav is the most expensive coach I've ever worked with. I'm not going to tell you how much, but he is at least 3 times more expensive than any coach I've ever worked with before in any capacity, business, training, etc. But it's so fucking worth it. The investment, I knew from before I even started with him that the investment was going to be worth it. And it's always going to be worth it to invest in yourself. You are never losing when you invest in yourself, when you invest in your future, when you invest on turning up and showing up as the man or woman or whatever that you want to be. Within the first week of working with him, I found like a new gear, just a new gear in life. I found like a new level of drive, a new level of self-belief, a new level of self-confidence. Just having the backing of someone like Trav to do the shit I know I can do and to do the shit I know I need to do. And just having someone in my corner to be like, hell yeah, brother, let's fucking go. Or offer a different perspective or all of these sort of things. Now, the benefit for me working with Trav, say, versus a more traditional business coach is from a business perspective, I was pretty well across a lot of the stuff I needed to do from a socials perspective and how to show up online and the content I needed to create and how to map it out and how to do this and how to track my clients income in and outgoing and finances. And I come pretty across all that. I'm pretty fucking good. Anyone who knows me knows I've got a spreadsheet for just about anything. But I knew that there was a few things from a psychological perspective, an emotional perspective that I could potentially work on to get better for my long-term development, both for my personal and my professional. And Trav was the man for me to be able to do that with. So jumped on, got started. He sent me through the price. I was like, yep, we're done. Let's go. Like locked in, fucking ready to send it. So we're doing a 6-week Rewire Light, which is just a lighter version of the main program that he has. For me, I felt like this was going to be the one that I gelled best with, just purely because of the fact I didn't necessarily think I needed any longer than that at this point in time to get done the work I need to get done. And I've already proved that to myself that was the case because I'm just fucking ticking goals every single day and the momentum's starting to build. And when momentum starts to build and you start to be more disciplined, when you start to be more consistent, when you start to show up better for yourself, then I've said it time and time and time again, your confidence and self-belief grows. When your confidence and self-belief grows, your motivation grows. People are always searching for motivation. People are always like, oh, I'm not motivated to do this. I'm not this. I'm not that. Motivation comes as a fucking byproduct of doing the thing time and time again, even if you don't necessarily want to. It comes as a byproduct of you sticking to the things you say you're going to do every single day and being relentless in your pursuit for knowing that you deserve and can show up better. And for me, I needed or wanted to work with somebody who could help me bring that out, but could also sit there and hold space for me when I needed it too, from an emotional perspective, because anyone who knows me, I'm a pretty emotional guy. I can be. I become a hell of a lot better at regulating my emotions, and I become a hell of a lot better at understanding myself over the last like 12 months. But I still have a tendency to be somewhat emotional, even though I'd love to be a little bit more subjective about a majority of the things in my life. So it just helps to have like that little voice there to help you out, to talk you through things, to help walk you through, hold your hand a little bit when you're going through some down parts, and then boost you the fuck up when you're going through good parts. Accountability, checking in, all of that sort of shit. So for me, it was a no-brainer to start working with Trav. I'm very excited to see how we're only less than a week in, and I'm already fucking stacking massive wins. So I'm very keen to see how the whole 6 weeks goes. I know that this 6 weeks will probably push me like a year or 2 years ahead of what I was going to be doing and where I was going to be, just from the systems that are going to be built, the habits that are going to be built, the consistency, the discipline, the confidence, the belief, all of it. I know that by investing the time now, investing the money now, it's going to push me further ahead in my life. And a big announcement is, and I've not really told a whole heap of people about this yet, so it's going to be pretty fucking interesting. So there's a few other things been bubbling under the surface for a little bit now, and one of those is I do have a partner. Now, myself and her aren't hidden, but we are keeping it a little bit more low-key, a little bit more private. And there's a few different reasons for that. But for the most part, there is a long distance aspect to it. So she lives in Melbourne, and we'd been talking together. We'd been talking since about March, actually, the weekend that the cyclone hit the Gold Coast. And as we were sort of like moving through our quote unquote relationship, as friends, and just getting to know each other and things like that, like we really started to gel and realize that like each other, like we're pretty special. Like there was a lot of things about her that I was just like, holy fuck. I was like, you're just ticking a lot of boxes here. And vice versa. She was saying the same thing for me. And I was like, classic, giving me the perfect girl. But then putting her 1,800 kilometers away from me and being like, there you go. So she'd flown up a couple of times, and we hung out, met, got to know each other a bit better. And then just due to, I guess, life stuff, moving wasn't necessarily on the cards. And I'm not necessarily somebody that could sustain a long-term relationship just because I just couldn't do it. I just don't think I could. Anyone who can do it, like kudos to you. I believe that's pretty fucking special. It's pretty cool to be able to do that. But I knew that long-term, I couldn't necessarily do that. And so we kind of made the decision to let each other go and try and move forward with life. Anyways, that didn't work and it didn't happen. And then when I was down in Melbourne last for APL Nationals, we caught up and we had some pretty fucking massive conversations and all of that. And we were obviously then by the end of that conversation, we had decided that we were going to give this a real shot. We were going to fucking have a crack. So we were together. And something that a lot of people, like fucking pretty much nobody had ever known. Anyone who knows me, I'm from Melbourne originally. That was where I was born. I lived there for 11 and a half years. Melbourne is still what I would classify as home to me. I still have family down there. My dad lives down there. My brother lives down there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And long term for me, I always wanted to move back to Melbourne, Victoria, et cetera, for like lifestyle, family, all of the things that can come from living down there. Like Melbourne is a fucking amazing place. There is so much to do, so much to see. Cost of living is cheaper in certain areas. Rental prices are fucking so much cheaper in certain areas, depending upon where you want to live, obviously. And I actually went down to Melbourne last year in August as a means of like checking out the area again, looking to move back down there. That didn't eventuate at that point in time. then as the universe does, it knows what I need or where I was headed before I did. And so when I went back down to Melbourne this last time, and I was like, it's middle of winter. It's like one of the most perfect August winter weekends in fucking years. Perfect weather, just everything about it. It was just like, bang, man, this is where you're meant to be. This is the spot. This is where you're meant to be. And then things have eventuated with my partner, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, the next step for me is I'm going to be moving back to Melbourne eventually. It's like, what's the fucking harm in pushing the time frame a little bit more forward than what I'd probably previously planned? So on that, I'm moving to Melbourne. March 2026. And as anyone knows, when you make a big move, when you make a big decision in life, the universe, when it's the right decision, the universe will fucking tell you, and it will guide you, and it will be like, it will be easy. It's like, man, you've made this decision, you've shifted timelines, we're fucking going. And so there's been like quite a lot of things line up already with relation to that move that have just been like, yeah, perfect. This is exactly what I'm meant to be doing. This is exactly where I'm meant to be heading. For me, I feel like the Gold Coast, which is now nearly, by the time I move from here, I will have lived on the Gold Coast for 12 years. I will have lived on the Gold Coast for longer than I have lived in any other location. So I lived in Melbourne for 11 and a half years. I lived in Townsville for 6.5 or 7 years. And I've now lived on the Gold Coast for 11 and 3/4 years. So to be 12 years of living here, I have fucking loved the Gold Coast. I love the Gold Coast. I love the Gold Coast lifestyle. I love going to the beach every single morning with my dog and walking him. I love just a whole lot about the Gold Coast. But there's also a lot that I don't love. And I had to sit down and really evaluate and look at everything as a whole and be like, okay, well, what do I do in my life? And I summarized it in about four different key components. It's like, well, I can pretty much do that fucking anywhere. And I'd had like a feeling over the last 12 to 24 months that maybe my time on the Gold Coast was coming to an end. As I said, I'd already been looking to potentially move away from here last year. And then this year again, similar thing came up, and it was like, I think the Goldie's done. The Gold Coast for me has been the most life-defining place, which makes sense, living through my late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, now fucking late 20s, which is really embarrassing. I've grown so fucking much in that time. I've grown and gone through so many different things over that time, over my journey. I've had my world dropped on its head multiple times. I've had some of the worst feelings I could ever imagine a human being can feel. I've had some of the best times I will always remember. And moving won't change that. It will always be a part of my history. It will always be a part of my life. It will always be one of the largest defining moments for me. But for now, I just think that like the next step for me is to spread my wings a little bit and to move. So March 2026, moving down to Melbourne. Going to be around the Seaford area, anyone who knows down there. So still by the beach, southeast Bayside suburbs. And yeah, I'm pretty fucking excited. I'm excited for what the future brings with that. I'm excited for what the future is going to bring in all different aspects of my life. Like, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this potty, is because, as I mentioned at the start, like I'll get on and talk about topics, and I'll get on and I'll share stuff, and we share with guests and we have discussions and all of this. But I've not really sat and just given a full fucking life update and been like, hey, this is what is actually happening in my life. There's a whole lot of good. There's been some downtimes. There's been some uptimes. For me at the moment, I'm in a fucking wave where a lot of the stuff is really, really good and really, really positive. And I'm fucking just so excited for what the future might bring. So yeah, drop the bombshell. I don't know if it's a bombshell really. like most people who I've spoken to and I've told, I'm being very open about it. I've told pretty much anyone who I've spoken with recently. If I haven't told you, it's probably I just haven't spoken to you recently. So there's that. But yeah, beyond that, the back end of the year is just going to be fucking exciting because, so many different experiences are going to be on the horizon. Still continuing to push work. I've got a little bit of travel. I will be going down and I will be going back and down to Melbourne a couple of times. Next month I'll be in Melbourne and then I'll be back down there in December again. I'm going to be going home I say home. I'm going to Townsville at Christmas time, which I guess I would quote unquote call my home as well, thanks to the fact that my mother lives there and I've still got family and friends and everything up there as well. So I'm very fortunate that, to me, home isn't a singular place. I got a tattoo on my arm at 18 years old that says home is where the heart is. And for me, my heart is spread across Australia. My heart is with my family in Melbourne. My heart is with my family in Townsville. My heart is here on the Gold Coast with my friends and everyone that I have met through the journey down here as well. So I just know that, wherever I go, I'm going to be in a place where there's a hell of a lot of love. There's a hell of a lot of joy. There's a hell of a lot of excitement. There's a hell of a lot of new adventures that are awaiting. There will be good times. There will probably be bad times. There will be times where shit hits the fan and you just kind of have to fucking learn how to swim. And that's life. That's fucking life. That's how it is. That's how shit moves. And that's how we continue to progress and show up and all the rest of it. So if you've been listening to this entire podcast, I appreciate you. If you have any particular questions about anything within this podcast, if you want to fucking message me, if any of it, just send me a message. If you want to ask about IQ subs, synapse, get it today. Send me a message. Coaching, send me a message. Fucking any of it, honestly, just message me. Let's have a chat. I love chatting to people. It's fun. I'm going to wrap it up there. As always, if any questions, queries, comments, let me know. If you have any particular guests or recommendations for guests that you think might gel well with this podcast, fucking send them through to me. I'm keen to always get people's input. If you think there's somebody that you know in your life that's worth talking to, interviewing, etc., send them my way. Give me a message. Give them a message. Tell them to reach out to me. I am always happy to chat to pretty much everyone and anyone. And I love getting a whole range of different sort of like perspectives on life from people. So beyond that, I hope everybody has a fucking fantastic day, fantastic week, fantastic life. For now, I'm out of here, but I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic day.